Pre-order my book in the description below. So a while back, I made a video talking about Call of Duty and how it was doomed for failure and how Xbox Game Pass was going to fail and how everything was just going to collapse around the entire Western video game industry. Right? This is something I've been talking about for years. This has been writing on the wall for like over a decade now. That COD cannot continue indefinitely. And yet somehow, some way, people were ultra salty about it. Like, oh, how dare you criticize Call of Duty? How dare you hate on Call of Duty? It's the only game I ever play. It's that good, right? A lot of people came out and mocked me for making fun of COD. And you know what? This is why I don't like COD fans, right? Like, it's kind of crazy seeing people spurg out trying to tell you that, like, oh man, COD is nowhere near as repetitive as Pokemon, which is completely and objectively false because Pokemon has no alternatives. Pokemon manages to innovate and grow with each generation. You get new regions, new Pokemon, new mechanics. Like, this is indisputable. Like, comparing it to something like COD, which is the same thing over and over and over again, is disingenuous, right? Like it's kind of amazing. Like, remember when New Super Mario Bros. Those games were still getting made, and people tried like implying that like, oh, Mario games, they're just like Call of Duty, but like all of these games have completely different mechanics, and they evolve and they grow and they do more and more interesting things. New Super Mario Bros. We like introduced multiplayer for the first time in a 2D Mario game, right? Like, to me, the agenda against Nintendo is really lame and pathetic, but equally lame is the veneration of stuff like COD. The veneration, the worship of products like GTA, right? So, like, again, this is an issue, right? People really do delusionally believe that COD is some untouchable super franchise that's going to continue to exist forever, and it just isn't true. The reality is Call of Duty has been falling off for a long time, and the only reason it has hung on so long because it was so ubiquitous in its genre. Everybody who's played more than two games knows that COD is trash. It doesn't grow and evolve, and it's just a complete scam, right? Like, I was shocked when I went ahead and played like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on my high-end gaming PC. I was shocked at just how little innovation there was from Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, right? I was shocked at how the online was completely dead. I was just appalled at just like the state of this game. It's trash single player campaign, and just, why exactly would I play that over far superior Nintendo games? Stuff like Splatoon 3, stuff like GoldenEye, stuff like Perfect Dark, right? I have dozens and dozens of better games to play over it, even on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, right? COD, objectively, is a mid franchise, right? It is something that deserves to be made fun of for what it is. It is an absolute disgrace to video games, right? And yet you still see people come out and say, well, actually the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was actually pretty good. It had a good campaign, bro. I remember playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I remember doing no Russian. I remember slowly lumbering through that airport, watching all these terrorists just gun down innocent civilians, and I was just like, this is lame as all out, right? I remember playing the missions after that and just being like, this isn't getting better, right? I remember playing the original Modern Warfare, a game that was hyped as being one of the best games ever made and this huge deal and like this huge phenomenon, and was not impressed by it. I've played that like mission on the tanker, like that first mission on the tanker several times. I've beaten the game before, right? I've played Call of Duty before Modern Warfare, right? I can tell you the game is not good. In fact, it's one of those games that I bought on my Nintendo Wii that I straight up tell people is one of the weakest games on the console, right? The Wii version, of course, is a straight port of the PlayStation 360 version. It's not in any way lesser than the other versions. In fact, it's better because of the motion controls and just like anyway. Call of Duty Modern Warfare was absolutely one of those games, one of the most overrated games of the generation, right? And And it's so weird seeing people who grew up playing these games when they were like 3 or 4 years old, being grown ass adults and trying to convince you that like, actually, Call of Duty was good back then. No, absolutely not. Okay, those of us who played more than 2 games back then understood that COD was mid trash. Even other PlayStation and Xbox fans, those guys were leaning more towards like BioShock and stuff like that. Like, it was only like the plebs, the casuals, who were playing that, who were playing Grand Theft Auto, who were playing the annual EA Sports franchises, right? It was those people doing that. Like, the reality is that if you play more than 2 games a year, you are going to find Call of Duty stale, boring, and derivative. The only reason this thing has any traction at all was because it was just so accessible to so many people who don't really play video games, right? That is the long and short of it. Call of Duty is not impressive. It's not memorable. It's not unique. It's not iconic. Soak McTavish is not a great video game hero like I've heard so many people pretend he is. Like, to me, the worship around Call of Duty is just one of the most embarrassing things in gaming today, and it is something that I wish more people began to openly make fun of Call of Duty. I fell off of it for a long time because making fun of COD felt like it was played out a decade ago, but it is time to bring this back. Okay, like, Call of Duty is a complete disaster, and more people need to acknowledge it.